Okay, I'm doing this video tonight, or maybe you'll watch it during the day, because I'm just really speechless at how our society continually goes in the direction it is. This picture behind me, you can see that this is a photograph that was taken about the time that the homosexuals and specifically the millennials were pushing the idea that to legalize drugs would give children who are terminally ill the opportunity to get medication without it being restricted as far as how they get it, when they get it. And the picture here shows you pretty much what I'm talking about. This is a family of three, a mother, a father, and the child was in the back seat, and the parents were totally wasted on heroin. And I attribute this directly to Obama, because he kept telling the millennials especially that if your child has any medical problem, then I'm going to make it as easy, if not completely possible, for you to get any kind of medication you need, and that includes illegal narcotics such as marijuana. Heroin is quite obvious because that's what they took. And society does not want to accept the fact that with illegal drugs comes not only addiction, but really just the possibility of the degeneration, the depravity of the mental condition. The human mind is just deteriorated to the point where they think it's more important to have it than it is to see what the inevitable consequences will be of having that medication or having that illegal drug. Now on the television you hear them speaking numerous times about the fact that they are busting people who have marijuana joints, who have other kinds of stuff, and I think it's all a part of one issue, that though Obama is no longer president of the United States, everybody knows there is a shadow government working in the background to continue the farce that he created about his utopia. A utopia is a philosophy that things can be great, you can have anything you want, and in the long term society will be so much happier and peaceful, and yet everybody will have what they want. And I have really only one thing to say about that. What the millennials want, and they're protesting and they're screaming it out everywhere you look, we cannot stop immigrants from coming to this country, especially those who are illegal. And nobody remembers the fact that 15 years ago on 9/11, why and how did the hijackers get their hands on those airplanes? Well, because of the philosophy that these same millennials are just constantly complaining about to the media, to society, in the picketing and the protests and all the rest of it, because they don't see the fact that when we let them come in here illegally with open arms, they massacred and murdered 3,000 people in the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. And it was because people felt at that time that if we restrict them from coming here, we're not being that open, friendly country that the millennials today feel we must project to the world. And it was that fact that 3,000 people died, that simple fact that we were letting them come across the border at will. We were letting them come into the country. Now, I know there is vetting going on, and that they FBI are now saying, and the CIA are saying, oh, we've got this all under control, we're controlling people, we're saying you've got to prove that you can come here to this country. Well, for the millennials to push the philosophy on society that we must accept them whether they be legally here or not is tantamount to saying we don't care how many people have died since 9/11 or on 9/11. we're going to continue to let them come in here, whether they kill us or they don't kill us. San Bernardino is one. The Orlando nightclub killings is another. And you can say, oh, well, that's just a coincidence, or it's just an isolated incident. I'm going to tell you, we've known since 9/11 there are sleeper cells in this country. These are groups of individuals who are radicalizing other Muslims, other Islamics who come here, and whether or not it's because some people are so naive or it's because that's their intention, nobody is taking a serious look at what have we learned in 15 years since 9/11. Zero. If we did learn from 9/11, it's the fact that Muslims are not as innocent as they appear to be when you see them at the shopping malls, or you see them wherever you go. They still adhere to the very same book that so-called radical Islam live by. That's the Quran. The Quran teaches people, all Muslims, one, that Allah is never happy if somebody else doesn't accept their religion. That means if you see somebody who says, I don't believe in Allah or Muhammad, they will feel not only an obligation, but it's a part of their so-called religion to kill you, because that's what the Quran says in so many words throughout the entire book. Lop off their heads, kill infidels. It is no longer just between Muslims and Jews saying we hate each other because of whatever reason. It's because now Muslims are the #1 group of a so-called religious group of people who are being accepted, forced acceptance into other nations of the world. In other words, the sovereignty of other countries are no longer valid reason to say a Muslim can't come there, even though it's been proven for 16 years that they are highly violent, highly radical, highly dangerous. And the millennials don't look at it that way. They think Muslims don't all believe in the Quran, so therefore we should let them all come in and hope that none of them are radicalized. None of them are going to try to kill us. And that's the saddest part of this philosophy that George W. Bush started after 9/11. He says this is not a war against Islam. It's not a war against Muslims. And Obama, who is a Muslim, he came into office as the president, and he not only pushed that same philosophy, he took it a step higher. And being a socialist, he says, you will not, under any condition, say anything about a Muslim. You will not put them down. You will accept them. You will tolerate whatever they do in your presence. Did you hear what I said? You will, you will, you will. That is the philosophy of Islam. Allah says you will accept our religion. You will abide and live by our religion. That's why these so-called open zones are all over the United States. That is why people are pushing on American society that we must have Sharia law in this country. And they're saying, oh, well, we're not going to do it everywhere. We're just going to let them come into these little places like these free zones and let them live that way. Guess what? If you create nests of Muslims who live by Sharia law, it isn't going to be kept there in that little hub. It's not going to be something like when we let the Indians have reservations. I mean, they pretty much wanted to stick to themselves. Plus, they knew if they went off their reservation, they'd have to pay taxes. So they don't. Muslims aren't like that because they're not having to pay anything. The United States lets them come here and live that way, whether or not it means some other innocent bystander is murdered, because it's their religious belief that they kill people. And that's why you don't have anything happening positively to stop this genocide. That's what it is. It is genocide. We are saying your belief is acceptable to us, whether it means that you're going to lop my head off, whether you're going to murder me, because we must accept you. because you believe that way? No. That is just like saying tantamount to America now says that murdering people is totally acceptable, it's totally all right, it doesn't matter who does it. And we have to, as a nation, make a stand against one thing, and that is that our freedoms are only for American citizens. It does not imply that because you're a visitor here, whether you come here to study or whatever, that your religious beliefs should overturn or tantamount itself to saying to an American citizen, you got to accept the way I live. Even if if I'm not a citizen of this country, it doesn't matter. That's what the millennials, that's what the homosexuals, that's what the government is telling us. Their beliefs you will accept, point blank, no questions asked. If it offends you, it doesn't matter, because in their minds, they're the only ones that count. And it's gotten to the stage now where Donald Trump came into the office because we voted for him. And the Democrats or somehow they have this establishment of power and saying to the American people, you know, we control everything. The socialists control everything, and we're showing it to you. We're the ones picketing. We're doing the protests. That is horrifying. Like Hillary Clinton said during the debates. That's horrifying to think that one party has such power that they can intimidate the President of the United States, and he has no legal recourse to prosecute them, to put them in jail, to hold them accountable for those kinds of farce, fake news reports that Trump's been talking about. And all because of the fact that the Democrats are controlling the media. They're the ones telling the media to make up these lies against Trump everywhere and every opportunity you have. And to me, as a citizen of this country, I feel like I'm paying taxes for people who come to this country illegally, and I'm having to pay for them to live here. And they're not paying a dime into anything. All my life I've paid into Social Security, into Medicare, all these other government services, and it's like they come across the border and the U.S. government hands it to them and says, you don't have to pay anything for this stuff. And then the millennials tell me, and they tell everybody else, oh, that's because we have to be nice to other countries. All the time, you're doing this. Here's my throat, cut it. You know, I know it's your religious belief. Go ahead, cut my throat right now. That's what the government's telling us to do. Give everything you have up to them. Let them kill you. And all of it just for a PR gimmick to the world to say, we're going to accept them and we're going to let them do whatever they want to because that's their religion. That's retarded. That's stupid to say that. And as a taxpayer, all of you should be infuriated that you're paying taxes to the Mexican, to the Islamic, who come here and they get all the free services that you can imagine, and we're picking up the tab as American citizens. You know how unfair that is, if not illegal? That's called taxation without representation. The government is telling us, you got to do it because we're telling you to. That's what Obama kept saying. And he's still there. He's right back here in the back, behind the curtain. His shadow government's telling us, you're going to do it. Because I've already told you it's going to happen. I told you 8 years. I'm not here in front of the camera no more, but I'm still doing it. The Democrats are proving it every day. That's why I wanted to do this video. To wake up whoever is still asleep believing Obama's horse crap. That he still is this great leader. He's not a great leader. And the more that they do to this country, the faster the country is going to become a Islamic state. And